Hello, everybody. Listen, we are on another episode of Conversations of Visionaries. I am so very excited about my guest today. I have who's in the building? Mona Jackson. Go ahead and introduce yourself, girl.
My name is Mona Jackson. I'm your girl from Colorado, by way of Houston. So excited to talk to you guys today. I love Candace. I'm just so appreciative of the opportunity to speak to you. Girl, it's been a long time. I can't wait to catch up with our coffee. Cheers.
Listen, and I don't even
Yeah.
have coffee today,
Well,
but
I need
cheers.
to down water, but yeah, this is
Don't worry
peppermint.
about it because I'm about to be on the next week. So, entrepreneurs, we're gonna say cheers. Mm. Hmm. Let me make sure that I. I just want to make sure. Do you hear an echo on your end, Mona?
I don't hear an
Okay,
echo. Do you hear echo from me?
it's okay. We're gonna move through it. We're gonna move with it. So, Mona, before we get the party started, I want to see if you know this song. I know that your husband is he
Oh,
gets all the songs going,
he
okay?
does.
He does, and I love that. So I want to see if you name this tune. You ready?
Yeah, let's see this. Hey, what song is this?
Who you got? Who you got? Yeah! It is. You got it. You got it. Listen, ain't that feel good music? Yeah. Yes. Now, y'all, that's feel good music.
Takes me back to my childhood. It brings me happy feelings of dancing with my grandpa and my dad and all their friends, just having good old days.
Absolutely. Just really, really good days, right?
Yes, warm and fuzzy.
And
I need that
I,
today.
you needed that. Good on your gloomy. You know what, Mona? I forgot to tell you that I have on a little Texas today. I got
I'm
some.
feeling it, all of it. I thought I would literally have a cowboy hat and cowboy boots, but here I am with a black velvet
Yes.
y'all. So yeah, I'm loving it. Thank you for the whole vibe.
Woo!
I have this for you because you're a boss. So I put, my little sweaty on saying my rates went up,
My
for
rate
this.
went
I
up.
want to ask you for a discount. Just let me
A-
know.
Absolutely. Just tell them my rates went up. 'Cause it's really important because because people be trying to get over on you. Listen, Mona, thank you so much for joining me today. It is an honor to have you here with me. I have known Mona for years and years and years, and I've just always known Mona as an entrepreneur chick. Like, woo! I think when I met you, we were at church. Look it, that's
Yes.
right. We be
Thank
getting
you.
our money.
Thank you for God. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. So we met at church,
Mhm.
and I remember I knew you by your shoes. You had the best shoe collection you're still into your shoes, right?
Girl, I'm obsessed with shoes. So if you want to get me anything, it's shoes.
Yes.
I
If you
wish
want
I
to give
could
me
have showed you my shoe game today, but I literally have on fuzzies on. But I had some fuzzies on
yeah, I think your mic is kind of going in and out. I hear
today.
you
Okay,
when you're yeah,
so
I
maybe I
kind
can
of
get
hear you.
closer.
Yeah, if you can get
Okay.
closer, that would be awesome. Yep, I can hear
Okay.
you great. Yeah, I can hear you great now. And so Mona, let's just start with who you are. Who is Mona Jackson?
That's a good question. It's
Yeah.
always evolving. I think if you would ask me in October, I'd probably have a whole different answer. But I think I definitely say that I'm God fearing. I'm a woman of God. I want to put God
Yes.
first and give Him honor in everything I do. And I wouldn't be where I'm at. They just sat without God. So that's first.
Yeah.
I definitely am a wife. I love being Mr. Jackson's wife. He's my
Yes.
partner in crime. I wouldn't even be where I'm at today without his support. I'm definitely a mom. I love my kids, obsessed. And now God just elevate me to a grandma. I'm somebody's grandma. I cannot believe it. Nova girl. And she is the cutest, most amazing gift from God. And so that's just changed my whole perspective. So now I'm thinking legacy. So I'm definitely an entrepreneur. Um, I definitely am very highly driven. And And I used to think I was an extrovert, but now I'm starting to think I'm an introvert. That's a really strange realization lately. I kind of like vibing by myself in my own little world sometimes. It's peaceful there.
Do you think
But
the pandemic did it?
yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people felt that, there's so many shifts. I mean, I think you have the time to sit back and really think about what's important to you and what makes sense and where you want to be. Even with
Yeah.
the pandemic, I was holding on to my job, even though I had two businesses. Makes no sense, but my I call it my job just over broke because that's how
Yeah.
they like to keep you there. No
Yes.
disrespect to people that are working, because hey, that pays.
None.
They got my
Hey,
kids in gymnastics and all kinds of wonderful things, so I'm not mad at
hello.
that.
Mhm.
Um, but it definitely wasn't where I wanted to be. So yeah,
Absolutely.
once I did that, I was like, so much time alone, and then you start with drama and complaining and negativity, and it just was killing my vibe and my creativity. So I had to I learned that I do better in kind of this silo where I can just kind of really laser focus on what God's telling me and what
Yeah.
the vision is and hit it. But when I have all this noise and confusion, it's a distraction. So I think the pandemic helped me realize that you got to keep those distractions to a minimum.
Ooh, that's so good because when I tell you, I feel like if there was any time to get distracted, it was probably it was the pandemic for me.
Nice.
Because, um, when you first of all, congratulations on being a grandmommy. Nova is just a doll pie. I mean, but you have beautiful children, and your children have beautiful mates, and so it only makes sense, okay, that, the babies come out beautiful. So, yes, it is a legacy situation, and Mona, you just do so well. I love seeing you do life. I love seeing you do life with your husband. I love seeing you do life with your kids and their mates. And I love seeing you do life with your baby girl, your little grandbaby. So and especially love seeing you do life as an entrepreneur because you do listen, when I tell you you do it, you do. And so I just wanted to say thank you for being such a someone to look up to when it comes to all the things that you're striving to be. So thank you so much for, just hanging in there and being a light for for us. Like really.
I appreciate that. You made my day.
Absolutely.
Yes, love it.
Absolutely. And so really quick, I wanted to just kind of talk about oops, I'm sorry. I'm doing things and I'm not supposed to be doing things, but I'm trying to do I am hold on, wait just a second. Let me see if I can yeah. So anyhow. Okay, so Mona, tell me a little bit about we're talking about distractions. See? Oh,
Yeah,
how fitting. How
yeah,
fitting. I was just distracted trying to get my banners together. So, when we're talking about distractions, and the pandemic, I think that when, you're in a situation like I was, right? 4 kids at home needing to be homeschooled, okay? 4, all right?
ooh,
2 of them under 3. And so I felt like I didn't have time to
yeah,
really do the things that I needed to, because I was so distracted with what was going on with them. So to hear that you were able to take some time and really say, "Oh, this is a great time for me to get centered and really hear from God clearly," I am it really makes me happy to hear that some people had that time to do. I'm not saying this like as a dig at all. Like I really do mean that because the I understand that the pandemic looked different ways for different people, right? And so I want to know when you were hearing from God clearly during the time of the pandemic, what were what were some of the things that you were able to birth in that time?
definitely. I mean, I have just seeing my daughter become a new mom, and then it takes you back. I think I have the beauty, like you said, of being an empty nester now. And so I have a lot more freedom and a lot more time than I did when my kids were little. And so being able to work with women every day at their preschool and seeing them work and bring their babies, and I just told you before we got in here with twins, I literally, when I meet women entrepreneurs with children, I literally give you guys hugs because you're my inspiration. Because I literally, I tell people so many times that when I meet with women, they're like, Mona, they're frustrated where they're at. I'm like, you have your husband at home, you have babies at home. It's a different situation. But for the
Yeah.
pandemic, for me, it was my husband and I. And when the pandemic hit, we had just got our second location, and we
Mhm.
had just got our we had just started in the works for the driving school, and all of a
Okay.
sudden all of our revenue came to a halt. So the first thing during the pandemic was just fear. I was like, ooh,
Whoa.
how are we gonna pay for all this stuff? We have a fixer upper that we had just got, and it was just fear and pandemonium at first. And like and I think that's when I realized that I wasn't my own provider, that God was my provider, right? And with one day, my husband got laid off from his job. I got laid off. I was like, well, it's okay, I have mine. 2 days
Yeah.
later, I got laid off from mine, and then I'm like, oh my goodness. And then
Yeah.
I'm getting calls like, this parent's leaving, this parent's leaving, this parent's leaving. So we lost 75% of our revenue within a week. And
My
I couldn't, no one can see that coming. So once I was able to sit down with God and realize, God's like, hey, I'm going to provide for you. And God supernaturally provided for us, throughout that first year of the pandemic from March to December. He basically held us afloat. We were just floating. So
yes.
during that time, I realized that I need to either give it my all as an entrepreneur and
Yeah.
all in, like no looking back, no security blanket, which is
Yes.
that's what I learned during that time with God is like, okay, God's my provider, not myself. And
Yeah.
even through those tough times, he was able to get us. We were able to pay all of our bills. We had electricity, we had food, and so he gave us manna during that season. So I was
Mm.
grateful. So during that time, once I was able to get over that fear, so I was like, hey, I can make it through a pandemic. This is crazy. Like anything that I could ever imagine that can happen with my business happened, and we're still open. I was like, man, it gave me this new sense of freedom. Like man, I was basically felt like I was indispensable. Like I had some kind of superpower all of a sudden. So all my fear went away in business. And then
Yeah.
that's how I was able to have a record year this last year. Because I really didn't go into it with any fear of what if, what could or should have. It went with I'm going to succeed at any means necessary. The worst has already happened. There's nowhere to go but from up from here.
Wow, Mona. That's so good. Now I'm sorry. We moved ahead really quick.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm gonna bring it back just a little bit and
sure.
tell us what is your business is.
Sure, absolutely. So we have preschool. So we have two locations, Kids of Valor Academy. Our motto is courage, determination, and character, because we feel like those are the three principles that we feel like is important in business. And so we have the baby 6 weeks to 12 years old. So it's a high risk business and high stress. And then we have driving schools. So we help teenagers or adults or companies that need to get their employees, their international employees, their driver's license and skills to be safe on the road. So, it's
Yes.
really like an education platform. And then I have Good Ground, which God gave me, and it's my
Yeah.
consulting business. I really help women of color really own businesses, get started, or if they come to some kind of fork in the road, or they need to grow in some area, just to help mentor and help them get off the ground. I've organically done that. I don't market very much. I have a really old, ugly pink website. Yet I am so busy, I can't really
Yeah.
take on any new clients because it's just so busy just by word of mouth, which is a blessing. But that's a God thing.
That's beautiful. There's nothing like word of mouth where people are able just to hear about you because I think word of mouth is so good because they're able to get that experience. They're able to know who you are, right? It's not just like oh, this is Kids of Valor, but it's like I know Mona and I know the Jacksons and I know who they are and I know that they're going to take good care of your kids because you said that this is in your bloodline, right? Daycare facilities is it in your it's in your family, right?
No, it's not really well. I thought so, and then it's so funny. I ran into one of my cousins, and and said that, or like some of my distant relatives started a school. So I guess it has been in the bloodlines. My cousin's in education now. Shout out to
Yeah.
Kim. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's definitely in our blood, taking care of kids and educating them, and it's definitely been a passion of mine for a long time.
Very nice. You know, when you are in the process of creating, well, hearing from God and creating the vision that he's given you, what when it comes to your mind, what do you get when you hear the word imagination and vision?
Definitely. I mean, I think they're kind of synonymous in a sense. So when I
Mhm.
think of imagination, I think of this dreaming, like seeing yourself having that business. So probably 10 years before Kids of Valor came into place, it was something I dreamed about all the time. I would sit there, I'm like, I want my own preschool, my own daycare. I knew exactly what it would look like, what the feel would be. And and then so I think what hindered me from that going into, I stayed there for a long time dreaming, like, oh,
Yes.
this is what I want. Then I'm like, you know what? I need to really this like the vision. What is the name of this? Like, where is this going to be? Like, where am I going to get the funding? And really putting down the vision and then
Yeah.
praying about it. And then so many times I thought I was responsible for the resources. Like, well, so I would think about this. I'm like, but I can't because I don't, um, I can't, or who's going to give me that? I mean, literally, I was dreaming with a 438 credit score, like what they
Yes.
giving me a good thing. But I,
Yes.
I was working for people and seeing them profit, but I didn't like the way they were handling the kids or didn't like
Mhm.
the way they were handling the teachers. And I felt like I was blessing evil people's hands, right? Because any school I got, I was able to, it was full with kids. I
Yeah.
thought that was going to happen to me. So, yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that's what you have to really see it. And sometimes you have to drive. I go to different preschools.
Yes.
Awesome. I would go sit outside and like, one day, Lord, I'm going to have this,
Yes.
and
Yes.
and they say, don't curse your small beginnings. So I feel like that's just a seed. God just wants that mustard seed of faith, planting that seed, like, and then letting that grow.
Absolutely. I agree. Are you're a journaler, right? Do you journal a lot?
Gosh, you know what? I love watching your journaling. Like, I'm obsessed by you and your journaling. So
Oh,
I decided I was like, okay, I'm going to journal. But I realized that my vocabulary is very limited. Okay. And I can be very negative with I literally, so my journaling ended up being just like a negative Nelly. I was like, "Ooh, I don't even like myself. Like, she's in it." But then I've seen like my journaling becoming more positive. So I was like, okay, I'm going to say some nice things or whatever. But then I'm like, no, I want to be authentic to what I want to write at this time.
yes.
So I can really go back and look at it. But yes, I definitely journal. I journal differently than you. I journal on my iPhone. I know people think that's insane. I
No.
literally put it in my notes section, and then I'll
Yes.
go back and read them, like, months from now, and I love when I put my dream out there, and then I look and it came to pass, and I have a record. I'm like, "Glory,"
Ooh.
like, it is
Ooh.
the best motivation ever.
Yes. Yes. I don't discriminate. Like I know
Okay,
that
good.
I've been using my phone, but I also put pen to paper. But it is important that you get what's out here
Yes,
to here, because
absolutely.
if you don't, two things, you'll forget, or you won't be able to see what God did when He did it. Um,
Definitely.
and so I agree with you when you say when you see the dream come to pass. Oh my. Now, Mona, for you guys who are watching, Mona, I got on the phone with Mona one day in probably about 2018 or maybe even
Mhm.
2017.
Could be, yeah.
And I got on the phone with Mona and I was talking to her about my business. And so when I was talking to Mona, she was already up and running her daycares, right? Because in 2017, 2018, you guys were already in motion. Okay.
Yes.
Um, this is why it's important to watch who you talk to about your business, because everybody don't care about what you have to say, and they will be negative, they will instill fear in you. But when I talked to you, Mona, you were like, oh, tell me what you got going on. And I'm like, I go into these facilities and I teach music. And she's like, oh, you have a preschool music enrichment program. And I said, I do have a preschool music enrichment program. And Mona, it was that day after that conversation, that's what I went to every single time. I was like, "Oh, my name's Candace Porter, and I have a preschool music enrichment program." And they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, wow, that's cool." And so, if you don't know how to, like, a lot of people don't talk vision with people.
Mhm.
They're talking about other stuff, and so I can see why you're saying that you became more of an introvert during the pandemic. Do you think that the reason why you became an introvert is because the levels of success that you were reaching in your business, did you feel like you were having a hard time kind of connecting with people or just being your authentic self and maybe sharing your victories? And people were kind of like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so much. Like, I Mona, Mona, your girl Mona. And I didn't, it's funny how people can see something in you sometimes you don't see in yourself or see
Yeah.
God blessing you in this in the thing that you don't because I don't really take I think God had to break me from the love of material stuff. It can go and come away.
Mm,
It comes and sometimes people feel like okay they have this level of success. The way they prove their success is by proving, all these different material items they're able to possess.
yes.
And so I think that people seeing the I share everything. I'm just an overshare. My kids are like,
Yeah.
hey, Mom, I probably put my underwear on there if I could not hear from so I'm just over here. So once I start to get different communication and feedback, I think, and then I'd say I was going to do this, and the negativity, the feedback, or who does she think she is, or she thinks she has money now. But even the shift of people turning from like the bank, they're like, "Can I borrow money? Can I get so many cash apps, it's insane." Like, and I'm like, "Where is this stuff coming?" So the shift came with people. The way they started to treat me or view me was so differently, but I felt like I was the same person and I couldn't talk to them. The more that you mature and level up, and the more you succeed, you read more books, you're learning, you're growing. And I realized that I'm growing at a fast rate because I have to. But there's some
Yeah.
people that are still here, and then it's like, how does this disconnect? And they begin to be, and there were so many people that I had to, cut out of my life, fell off, or a lot of heartbreak for me. My husband and I were both heartbroken. We felt so alone
Yeah.
for a long time. And so now, yes, anything that you're going to have is going to be killed in infancy. So if I have a vision or something I want to go to, before I would go and tell people, that, like, oh, your little business, ha ha ha. Yeah, I hadn't proven anything. I didn't have proven success. I didn't prove that I could really be successful at anything. So they're like, oh, here's Mona with her little, whatever. But then when they see the change and they see the success, they're like, well, hold on, let me listen to that. Maybe, there's something there. And so the conversation stopped being like, hey, girl, how's your hair? What are you doing? To, hey, Mona, can I get a minute of your time? It's like, well, I'm the same Mona that was 5 years ago. You're ignoring me. Now all of a sudden or treating me like I'm important. I'm not important. I'm just Mona. So it just
Yeah.
got really weird for a while. So yeah, no, I have a hard time relating to people. It's
Yeah.
very sad. And it's just, I keep asking God if this is going to be my life. It's lonely, but it is what it is. But I
Goodness.
don't tell people because they can't kill that infancy. I let them know, voila, here it is. There's only a certain small people that I can trust, that I can tell them something and they're not going to try to, pull it down, get jealous. Haters. I had the most haters this year. That's when my kids were like, Mom, you've arrived. I was on so many social media sites, girl. It was crazy trying to bring me down. I was shocked. I was like, I couldn't believe, I was like, I'm not even that important. But my kids are like,
No.
when you get that notice, yeah, I got level of hate. When you make social media hate, I mean, it was on a regular basis. I was like, I was crying because I was like, I can't believe it. My kids were like, respond, Mom. I'm like, that's a lie. Like, that's not, that didn't happen. And
Mhm.
now when they post whatever, I'm like, oh, they're talking about me today. Free advertising.
Oh,
Free advertising.
mm,
I'm
look
bothered.
at I must have been doing something because they got my name in their mouth. Ooh,
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, so that's true. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the reality. Not everybody's happy for your success. And I thought that I've heard people say that in the past. I was like,
yeah.
wow, it's sad, but it's the reality.
It's the reality. Um, I'm gonna open up the comments. If you guys have anything to comment, please comment. The one thing that you said, Mona, that really spoke to me, because that's just kind of the place that I'm in right now.
Mhm,
And that's why I'm being really careful about how I'm dealing in my next season of entrepreneurship,
mhm.
with a business being killed at infancy. Um, and if you're not careful, oh my goodness. And so I'm like you. I like to share. I like to overshare. I like to show people what God's doing in my life through faith and through hard work, and in the area of entrepreneurship. But something happened this year where it was like 2022, right? And that's right when I was transitioning out of bonding to the beat. And so I was ready to be like, New year, new me, here we go. And God was like, we're not ready for that. Like, are you ready for these people to come for your throat? Like, you are not ready for this because it could be killed in infancy. And so I want to see if you can just speak a little bit more to that. Have you ever had that happen to you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you come out with something and you know, and like, hey, I want to do well. I mean, I have an example just recently. It was innocent enough, but we were basically telling our new dream to what we consider a group of friends that were close to,
Hmm.
and we're like, oh, and this and that, and we're gonna get this, and we're gonna do this, and they were like, in a pandemic. I was really surprised because I had forgotten we're in a pandemic. I know that sounds crazy,
No.
because God will bless you in any season. Like He said that there's an abundance, like
Yeah.
currency. It's because you can tap into it. It's constantly flowing, and
Yes.
and so I was like, and that fear comes in. You're like, you can't do something, or
Yeah.
and I refuse. I can't is not my vocabulary. Period. If people around me that are negative, I can't. You won't. I can't see. There's 75 other people. Heck, McDonald's don't care. They'll post up right across the street from a Chick-fil-A, Wendy's be right around the corner. Okay, next door to until a Taco Bell,
Yes.
and KFC in the same building.
Yes.
I don't care how many preschools pop up. I don't care how many driving schools. I don't care how many consulting businesses. I don't care how many TikTok influencers are out there. There's one Mona. That's me. And if God gives me the
Period.
assignment, He's going to send me the customers. He's going
Yeah.
to send me the provision, and He's going to give me the wisdom and the knowledge. And whatever I
Absolutely.
have is going to set me apart from everybody else. And so I don't have time to, when I'm running my race, if I do this, I'm already in trouble, right? I'm already in trouble. And so when I see people, they want to do all this stuff to get you from here. And so that's when I will cut you out. I'll get my book, and then I'll pray, and God will say, call Candace,
Yes.
call Kiana,
Mhm.
call whatever.
Mhm.
And that's what I do. Other than that, I don't really solicit. So when he said that, I just looked, and normally I would, well, we're not in a pandemic and trying to explain myself and all this stuff. But that I let that be, his reality. But you're not going to bring that over here because, like I told you, one of the things that 2020 did for me was take away this fear and anxiety that I lived in for so long. And
Mm.
so, and I can't jump with fear. Like you can't jump and just, I mean, because you will never jump. So you're
Yeah.
not gonna. That's your reality. I've seen what God can do in a pandemic. I mean, He's done some amazing things. So that's it's sad that that's where you're at. But that goes to show me I need to level up on my friends, or that shows me where He's at and where they're at, and then I act accordingly, and I deal with them according to their level of which they can handle where I'm at. But I love getting in the room with some multimillionaires where I'm going, and the conversations are so different and rich. They leave you, you're pumped. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
Leave some other people, you're like, oh my God, the world is ending. We're all going to be dead. We're all going to be
Yes.
broke. And I don't have the spirit of poverty. Like, that's just not my vibe. So,
Yes.
and we have family members like that. And I'm just like, oh my God, can we let this 10 minutes? Because my time is so valuable now. I don't have time for mess. I don't have time for idle, petty conversations. I don't have time for people that are not willing to grow. If I told you 2 weeks ago what it was, and then you're still asking 20 other people, then you're wasting their time and mine. You don't really want a solution. You just want to complain. So I try to avoid those people because my time, I don't have time for that. I'm busy trying to live my best life. And you can live miserable if you want. You can live in a I can't let reality, and that's just you're not going to bring me to that point anymore. I don't live there.
Ooh, Mona
No,
Jackson.
family,
What?
friends, parents, no, thank you.
Oh,
So they can say,
listen,
"Oh, Mona's snotty." No, Mona's just not. Mona's brain is somewhere else.
it's somewhere else. Oh,
And Mona's fantasy world. That's what they used to say. Oh, Mona, you live in a fantasy world. But now they want to live in my fantasy world. Now they want to sit down with me for 2 minutes to get advice. Now they want to catch at me. But my fantasy world, my dreaming, my vision, and having God and having a good character, it will take you a long way.
wow. Wow, Mona. Look, Antoinette, I'm gonna put her look, I'm
Sure.
blown away. Said that me versus me mentality. And she said, I feel this. Like I feel this too, because it's really interesting when you are the visionary, right, of the group, when you are the dreamer, you're the one who lives in fantasy, right?
Yeah.
When you are that person, people don't really vibe with you well because in order to be a successful entrepreneur, I believe that you have to have some form of crazy inside where you're crazy enough to think the idea that I see and hear that I'm praying for, I'm crazy enough to believe God for it. And then when you see it, it's like same situation. Oh my goodness. I don't
Mhm.
it turns into a, well, how did you do that? Or, can I talk to you a little bit about this idea? And yeah, like we can talk about it for sure, but what are you going to do with the information that I give you? Am I just wasting my time?
Or in the sacrifice. They don't realize they don't see they see the fruit now, right? But
Yes.
they didn't see the planting phase. They didn't see when it was in the dark phase. They didn't see
Woo!
when people were, I've had people when I was struggling at the preschool, I had so many people tell me to shut it down. So I would have shut down $1 million business listening to some of these people if I had
Ooh.
done it. I had literally got there. I had literally got had I started the business with no money. Like my credit score, I don't even know what it was. It wasn't even worth looking because it wasn't going to get me anywhere.
Yes.
My daughter literally gave me a $6,000 loan to get the first preschool. And when people seen the preschool, it was trash. They're like, "Oh my god, girl, good luck. Ooh, good luck." That
Yes.
good luck school has a waiting list, okay?
Yeah.
And it catapulted me into so many other things. And so yeah, I had to really believe that, I could. And if I had listened, there's so many times that the enemy will send someone to try to you get to this point, like trying to kill it, trying to kill it. It's constant.
Yeah.
It's constantly, and then you have competitors trying to kill you, and this is constantly. You're under warfare all the time. So if you
Yeah.
can't take criticism, they want to see the fruits, but they didn't see the nights that I cried, the 18-hour days, the negative bank accounts, the NFF charges, the tax debt, the trying to figure out how I'm going to get payroll paid because we have more payroll than revenue because we're
Ooh.
growing and then no one wanting to give me a loan. And I was so upset at first. I'm like, God, why would you have me a business? Why can't it be comfy like some of these people? I have a loan and all this stuff. But now I'm so grateful because my business doesn't have debt. I don't really have to be answering to people because they wouldn't give me any money to start it. God did. God helped me bootstrapped it, and He manna, and we made it. We thank God. But
Yeah.
so I want to be there to help other entrepreneur women, encourage them. Like you don't have to have all this stuff to start. Like what's in your hands,
What's in
and then it really starts here. If you can get this under control, if you can get this under control, you will win.
Woo! Cause this here, that's let me tell you something. I always talk about mindset first because if you don't have the right mindset for this, you can forget it. If now I'm feeling you when you're saying like if you don't have it here, if you don't have it here, because so many people think that you're just gonna walk into this thing, this entrepreneurship thing, like, oh, and it's all gonna come together like this. But if you don't know how to deal with and process the hard times that are gonna be, they're sometimes gonna outweigh the good times.
Absolutely.
Like truly, like the
Yeah.
highs that you see are not going to be a consistent thing all the time. Now there's going to be a period where yes, it's going to be good, but
Mhm.
there's going to be more times where it's going to be like a press than it is a victory. And
Definitely.
what do you talk what do you say Khadijah said uh what's in your hands. I love that.
Mhm.
What's in your hands. And so when you're talking to people about mindset, I seen one of your TikToks talking about mindset. What what is something that you lead with? How do you help them hear? How do you, well, not how do you help them, but what is some advice that you give so that they can help themselves there first?
Yeah, definitely. I always say don't curse small beginnings. So I love to tell stories and give examples. So I had opened a preschool, and I told you before I worked for them for 20 years, ran a lot of them, and
Yeah.
it was really easy to grow. So here I
Yeah.
have my own business. I'm like, as soon as I put that sign out, this place is gonna be packed.
Yes.
Month one, I got 2 employees. I'm sitting there, and I thought I was strong. I was ready and made for this. I
Yeah.
no kids.
Yeah.
Second month, sitting there, all these bills,
Mm.
no kids. Towards the end of the second month of being open, we had one little boy come in, Zephaniah, our first kid.
Mhm.
And his grandma was like, I love it because there's nobody here. I was like, that's kind of scary.
Of course.
And, and so every day I was angry. I was mad. I was
Yes.
like, God, you gave me this, oh my God, we're going to get shut down. This we're not going to be able to stay open. We're not going to be able, it was always what we could not do. And that was
Yeah.
the very thing that my dad taught me, that principle early on. I can't is not in your vocabulary, Mona. And it's funny how God will prepare you early. He prepared me to do this work as a child. Okay. My dad was telling me, you can't. So I sat there and I was like, one day I was thinking, I was like, you know what, Mona? You know, wonder why I don't have any kids. Every day you're here complaining, being negative. You were so praising God when you got the keys. Like, thank you, Jesus. You were so happy. And then the health department guy tried to not let you open. And then the license thing tried to do this. And then the water, permit and all this stuff came. And now you're just beat down and angry. So I had to change my mindset. So I said, you know what? I'm going to change this. So I started thanking God. Thank you, God, for this building. Thank you
Yes.
for my 2 employees, God, that's still showing up with no kids. I'm not, they're probably like, oh my God, girl, this place is struggling. Um, Thank you for Zephaniah's grandma for seeing my visions. Like she's seen the
Yes.
vision, she's here. And Lord send me like-minded people. And when that happened, and I started to speak things into existence, even though I didn't see them, I was like, "Thank you for a full school, Lord. Thank you for covering my payroll.
Ooh,
Thank you for all the teachers that we're going to bless and all the kids' lives we're going to change. Make them come in and leave better." So I started saying, if Zephaniah's my only kid, he's going to have the best day ever. Okay,
ever.
and he would be like, "Oh, I had fun today," even though there's no other kids. They're like, "Miss Mona, no kids today, no." But yeah,
Simone is
he's
here.
like, and then the people start talking. She start talking, and we have a waiting list there. And you and I called. I remember I called someone. That's when you messed up. I called to get some encouragement instead of praying
Yeah.
and asking God where I need to get my encouragement. Sometimes you got to encourage yourself, like that song. I play that sometimes. Encourage yourself.
Listen.
I called someone that is very close to me. I was like, we don't have any kids in this. And I was like, shut it down. Shut it down. But it's so crazy. I had one of my biggest haters just happen, want to be nosy and stop by. She's like, Mom,
Oh,
you can come
Mona.
in. I've seen other schools. Oh,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry, Mona. Come back to the middle
Oh,
again. There
sure.
you
Oh,
go. Yeah,
sorry.
that's cool.
Um, so one of my haters stopped by the preschool to be nosy, and she was like, "Hey," and she was like, "I said, yeah, we don't really have any kids." She encouraged me. It's funny how God can use your enemies to bless you. She's like,
Hmm.
"Girl, I've seen you succeed." She said, "That's why I be hating on you." She said, "You're gonna be fine," and that's all I needed. It was some,
Wow.
just to encourage myself and keep going. So anytime I start getting negative thinking or thinking I can't or it's too big of a mountain, it's not my mountain to bear. I give it to God. I'm like, God, I need money. These tax people are calling me, God. This IRS that was on my butt last year. I was like, please, Lord, I got to pay him. I do not want to hear, Inspector Rosa calling me another day. And
Yeah.
every time he comes through, every time. And so I just,
Yes.
yeah,
Wow.
so I
Um,
tell them, you're speaking, don't speak stuff, don't talk negatively of yourself, don't speak negatively of what you've been blessed with, don't curse what you already have, don't wake up with a bad attitude. If you have an attitude of gratitude every single day, even thank you for the adversity, I'm growing, God. Thank you for challenging me. I know that I can do this. This is not too much, but I got this, God. It's amazing how so I tell them, you got this, you can do it. I can't, I won't, you can't. They told you no, so call somebody else. I love no. Tell me no. It just gets me like fire under my butt. Please tell me no. I got told no literally for this second property. He told me no 39 times, and probably more. He literally told me, don't call me anymore. Okay. You're not going to get this place. It's not yours. I would go out there and pray. I was like, I wish a second would. That is my building. And then he told me one time he was so annoyed. He's like, oh my God, it's you again. Cause he had to come show it. And he knew it was me. He was like, you've been out here so many times. I'm not doing the deal. You're not going to get this property. I looked at him. I said, next time I see you, I will get these keys. He rolled his eyes, got in his little car and drove off. And then sure enough, next time I seen him, I was like, remember I told you? He was like, oh my God. And I told him he owns like half of Houston. I tell him all the time, I said, I'm gonna buy all your buildings. I'm gonna be you one day. And now he tells me I believe you. He tells me, he's like, Mona, I literally believe that.
Mona.
I'm coming for Mr. Arthur if you're watching.
Mr. Arthur,
That's what I call
Mona,
him.
is coming for you.
All your stuff. You're
Listen,
70. Give it to me. No.
let me have it.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's see the comments. Uh, Celeste said he will use your enemies to bless you. Khadijah's like, listen, absolute all of this. And Antoinette said, a spirit of humility and submitting to his perfect will plan is so hard, but worth it. Mona, talk to us about endurance. Like, I feel it, like, because you had to endure no's 39 times where you finally were able to say, now I got the bill, now I got the keys. Talk to us about that spirit of endurance.
Yeah, I think it starts with that dream and that vision, and you have a vision,
Yes.
and then you go there. I get this feeling. I don't know if you guys do, but I see buildings, I go places, but there's something that when it's set aside and it's yours, right?
Yes.
And every time I know that I'm walking on something, I go there, I'm looking at place, I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling it. And usually it frustrates my husband because usually it's a dump. He's like, oh my God, can't you get that feeling for something that's complete and done and ready? But that's
Yeah.
just really not what God's given me. He gives me projects, right? And
Hmm.
and so once I know it in my spirit, then I don't let go of it. I go there and pray. And in much opposition I get, that's when I know I'm going the right way, right? Because it's
Ooh.
opposition, because I know that that's something that God has set apart for me. And the enemy doesn't want me to have it. So when the opposition starts getting really tough, I'm like, okay, I got to keep pushing through. I got to keep pushing through. It's a storm. Who wants to just continue to stay in that mess? I got to get through it. And so once I get through it and I lock in and I pray, no matter how many times they tell me, and I remember calling my daughter, like, I just don't really get it. I said, God just really told me that was mine. She's like, Mom, I think you're gonna have to let go. Some of them starts thinking I'm psycho or like obsessive
Yes.
or like I'm psychotic or something. Like you're in this fantasy Christian world, like, oh, like, I
Yeah.
said, no, God said that was mine. And I said, I don't really get why it's not working, but I'm gonna keep pressing. And then when I got the key, she's like, Mom, I even that inspires other people around you too, because they
Yes.
see me going through that. They see me get told no. And my husband was even like, babe, come on, there's other
Yeah.
stuff out there. I said, no, but that's what God has for me. If he has that for me, then that's where he wants me to be. And that's where my provision is. I said, I can't give up. And so I'm in the same this is location 3, same thing. I've been fighting with this guy since October. He literally told me it's not mine. He's went to closing 3 times and it didn't close, guys, 3 times. Homie, that's because it's mine. I'm just sitting now. I don't get panic. I just sit back like this. Like, that's my offer and give me a call. He's like, I would rather just let it go back to the bank before I give it to you for that. I said, okay. Well, I said, well, just let you know, here's my number. I really can't wait to hear from you.
Oh
When
my,
I get that testimony, I'm gonna let you know because it's going to be mine again. And
it's
I mean that.
going,
Mary had a little lamb.
and that's on who?
Yeah. So fantasy world all you want. Don't give up. Persistent. Like chick. I don't like the word no. Like especially if I know it's mine.
Especially if you know it's yours. I was gonna say there's a difference, right?
Yeah, if
So
I'm going for something like a bad relationship, this guy has been doing me dirty. Like all
mm,
my girlfriends have told me, honey, let him go. I'm not that crazy. Like I know when it's not
yes,
a God thing. You know. I
you
know that
know.
this is somewhere that I'm supposed to be. And even if whenever I've willed my way and it's not what God's want for me, it's been a disaster for me. So be
Woo,
very clear, fast, get in your word, get along with God, get some confirmation about that. Because
yeah.
every time I've willed my way and got something, I've had to pay for it. It's been a burden. When it's a God thing, it is like easy to lift like a feather. It just flows. Everything comes. It might not be fun. Don't get me wrong. I hate when people on here being an entrepreneur is so awesome. No, it sucks. I want to quit my business at least once a day. Okay, literally. Well, I listen. I sometimes I'm like, God, I just want to go get a job. Okay, so when they're on there like, girl, let me show you my Rolls Royce and all my little toys. No, they don't.
Yeah,
It's a. Woo,
it is. It is a doozy.
it's not easy,
Mona,
but there's good days.
there's
Mhm.
good days. It's rewarding. The majority of the time it's rewarding. Folks is like, this is encouraging. Listen, it is super encouraging. Mona, when you are in those times where you are waiting for them to give you a yes, what are some of the things that you're telling yourself? Like, from the time that I heard this, from the promise to the provision, What are some of the things that you're telling yourself? What's that conversation looking like for you?
First it's usually it's like, okay, Lord, I'm gonna be patient. And I'm telling him, hey, Lord, I'm willing. I feel like I'm ready. If I'm not ready, put me with everything I need to be able to do this next project. I start building. So, for me, I know I need furniture equipment. I'm sourcing that out. I'm going to the location. I'm praying for what I want to see, and I'm visualizing where it's going to be. That it's going to be full. Lord, send me the right teachers and the right people. Lord, keep the wrong people away from me. And a lot of times I go into just straight up, just like you're expecting, like when you're pregnant, you're expecting this baby to come, you're preparing for it. So the
Mm,
same thing when God gives me something, it's like I'm expecting, I'm pregnant. And when you're pregnant, what do? You start preparing for it mentally. You start physically preparing for it. If I see equipment here and there and I can afford to get it, I'm gonna put it in storage, right?
mm,
Um, I'm already, visualizing myself. What is that going to look like? What is the lobby going to look like? What permits? I'm calling the state, the city, like, hey, I'm going to open up this preschool. What is it licensed for? What are this? How many cots I'm going to need? I'm going to build a budget out. So I'm
mm,
already working on it as if it's already mine. It's not like,
mm,
okay, once I get it, then I'm going to start. No, I'm already have it. It just hasn't came to pass. I'm going to act accordingly. And that's when God can meet you because he sees that, okay, there's works without, act well, faith without works is dead. I can sit here and say I want all this stuff, and that's why I don't believe in fantasy. I'm not a fantasy. I'm not like pretending like stuff and I never do it. I'm a doer. I'm a driver. I get it done. I execute. You can't have a vision and you don't execute on it. And so I'm going to still be doing those things, looking for different opportunities, encouraging other businesswomen because I think it's so important that and you have to be able to give. It's not all about me. I can't take stuff with me, right? And
yeah,
so I felt like I had to fight for so much as an entrepreneur. People didn't want to give me help. They didn't want to, and God gives you this stuff for free, And so I feel like it's my job to mentor other women, encourage them through their journey along the way as well. While I'm expecting my next birth, and every time I something comes up, I feel like I'm birthing a new business. It's like it's so intimate. I'm so excited. I'm so connected to it. I can't wait to see it come to pass. It's like a birth. So yeah, that's how I do it. Just like you're pregnant, you're expecting get busy. When you're expecting, you're just sit there and like, oh, my baby's gonna come here. No, you start preparing. You're like, ooh, what is this gonna feel like? What kind of medication? Baby needs a crib. Baby needs diapers. You start getting provisions, and God gives you provisions. A lot of women are like, I'm pregnant, and I don't know how I'm gonna afford this baby, honey. I was 17 and pregnant, okay, and God
mm,
provided for me. My daughter was in a leather. She had the best of everything. Heck, and I was probably making 5,000 a year, okay. And so
yes,
God provided for that baby. So he will provide for your business. He will provide for your household. He knows you have children. He knows you have an electric bill. He knows you have a light bill, a car payment. It might not come the way you want it to come. I want it to be real cushy. I want it to just sit in there and I know it's there. That's not how God works. He wants to see your faith. He wants to know that you believe it's there, even if you don't see it, if it comes the day before. And payrolls came the day before me. I'm like, God is a G, big G. No, I don't know. That's how I vibe. I'm
I'm
like, I'm
sorry.
pregnant
Look,
and I gotta give birth to this thing, okay? Because I am tired of being fat. It needs to go. It needs to come to pass.
it's gonna okay. I'm just taking this all in. Like I am making sure that I am taking the things that I need to take from
Oh,
this
good. I'm
because this
glad.
is so rich. And this is um Shanika. I hope that I'm saying Shanika's name right. She is she put this, she said, "Thank you for this conversation. I literally was just processing the weight and the hard part of pressing through in entrepreneurship." And yeah, she said, oh, Shanika, sorry,
Oh, good.
Shanika.
I love it.
Um, and
Beautiful name.
so she said that she is so touched. She is literally in tears.
Aw.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I, I feel you because, uh, the funny thing is a couple months ago, I put on my Facebook page that I was in labor
Mm.
and that I was 8 centimeters, okay? Specifically 8 centimeters. Now, Candace Lynette Porter has never birthed any babies. Like I have had 2 C-sections. And so I have not had a baby naturally, but for some reason I said 8 centimeters. Now, 8, we know if we follow like what 8 means biblically,
New
it means
beginning.
new beginnings. So
Absolutely.
here I am just posting on social media like I'm in labor. It's 8 centimeters, thinking that it was a birth for my current business, not knowing that I was actually birthing a whole new business.
Yeah.
But I was just so stuck on, oh, it's a birth for bonding to the beat. Like, I know that, something else is coming through, something else is coming through. But the crazy thing is that I was actually in position to birth another baby, like another business. And so when you talk about preparing, not just I'm so hyped right now because I think sometimes what happens is we get the thing, right? We get the vision, and then we're like, okay, God, now what are you gonna do? All right, now bring it to pass. But God's like, so you gotta do some work on your end. But in that fantasy Christian land, we sit there and be like, well, God's gonna supply all my needs from his riches and glory. That's what I was just on today.
Yeah.
And so, but God is like, what are you doing? What are you doing in the meantime? Do you really believe that I'm going to give you this business because you're not preparing for it? You're
Yeah.
just sitting there. You're not doing the things that you need to do. If I sent you your first client for your new business right now, would you be ready?
Yeah.
And I'm like, uh, so hearing you talk about this as if it's because it is equivalent to childbirth.
Yeah.
When I had to settle in my heart and walk away from bonding to the beat, that was a grieving point for me. I grieved and I cried, but then after that, I felt like I went into labor,
Mhm.
literally physically. I felt like I went into labor. I can't really like my body was like I felt like my body was contracting. I felt like my breathing was heavy and I was trying to slow it down. But I really after I said goodbye to bonding to the beat, after I said okay, and I grieved, I immediately went into labor for the next thing.
Absolutely.
And so hearing you, Mona, talk about the preparation in that, not just sitting back and waiting for God to do the things, but literally preparing for the baby blows me away.
Yeah. Eating. Like, you read about, okay, well, what am I expecting this month? Like, the baby should be doing this. How should I feel? How do I relate to this?
Oh,
Like,
I'm sorry. Can you
oh,
come back?
sorry.
When
Even
you
just
said it was perfect.
reading books and preparing yourself that way. Like for me, I went to a certain level. I've learned that I have to learn so much more as an
Yes.
entrepreneur to go work to take this, this I call it I don't know what you call it, my venture, my businesses to the next level. And so
Yeah.
I've been reading and studying to get myself ready for this next thing. So I'm prepared, learning about taxes. Like the tax guy got me at the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, he thought I had taken a tax class. He was like, "You are going sparring to me on these taxes because I didn't. I had to learn. You can't. I can't be in business and not understanding these taxes and how how these different taxes are going to affect me at the end of the year. So I had to
Yes.
educate myself on that. So the same thing with you. And also, I wanted to tell you, you know, I had the cleaning business, Magnificent Cleaning, and oh my gosh, like I thought I had reached the pinnacle of entrepreneurship, had it in 3 states, and I'm like, "I am the boss," and then when God was like, "That's it," and closed that down, I start to question, "Am I an entrepreneur?" Like, I failed, right?
Whew.
I was like, "I literally failed, like, I don't even know if I should touch another business," and, like, I got to that point, and it got to, like, a peak, and I was, like, winning financially in my mind, and then it just all dried up like the desert, and I was like, "Well, this is crazy, like, what is going on?" And, so that it was always kind of in the back of the mind, and that's why you gotta get your mind, under
Yes.
control. And then and God was like, "That was the season, it's over." I was like, You got something else for you to do." I was like and so you have to be able to let go just like with our kids, like, I'm a grandma now. My kids, that season where they were in my house every day running around, where I had to tell them to be quiet is over. That's a new season. I'm a grandma now, and I have to accept that. Same thing sometimes in business. It's not that you failed. It's like, okay, God has something even bigger. Think bigger. I read this book recently called 10 Times, and this is insane. Like, so whatever your vision or dream is, 10 times bigger. And I remember when I pray and ask God for things, He say, bigger, Mona, dream bigger. I'm like, dream bigger. Like, this is outside of my reach. So it's like
Ooh,
whatever your vision, your dream you have, magnify that by 10 times. You're asking God for so little. And I'm here to witness it. So I went in, I was like, okay, I'm gonna kind of take this principle. I said, this year, God, during the, pandemic, but not my pandemic, or not my pandemic.
it's
I said, I'm gonna make $1 million. And I was thought that was like, ooh, I was happy with 400,000. I was like,
yes, yes.
and then God did it quick. I was like, what is happening? And so now
Look,
I'm like, I want to be a multimillionaire, God. And before, when I said that, I put it on my page too. I'm going to be the first millionaire in my family. I'm sure my family was reading it like, this chick here.
and guess what? And
So
happened.
so 10 times whatever the vision you have, your dream that you have, think bigger. God's even bigger. He's even more capable of doing it. And it's like being a good steward of your money. I never take credit. I always give God the glory, because you want to stay humble. You know, everyone think, oh, I'm all that. I'm so amazing. And I think that failure with the cleaning business helped me realize, no, I'm not quick to jump out there and just be like, oh, I'm just go Mona. Go. I'm encouraging myself, but I'm not ever too arrogant to know where my blessings come from.
Never too arrogant to know where your blessings come
And
from.
God, you can give it to me and take it away.
Immediately.
Surrender it. Surrender.
Immediately.
Surrender.
That's ooh, oh my God. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm trying. Okay, we gotta wrap this up
Yeah,
because
no worries.
I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, oh my goodness, because there is times where God says, okay, that's good. All right, that's good, but I need you to do something else.
Mhm.
And so, it's hard to God, it's hard to settle that sometimes, especially when you're in the groove for a long time and you've put so much time and effort and money into that thing. But like you said, 10 times, think bigger and bigger. And so, what is something that you would leave? For our listeners, what is something that you would leave? Congratulations on having the biggest year of your business. You guys deserve it. I've seen you walk this thing out. We've talked on social media, on Instagram, where you have, and that's what I love about you, Mona. I love your transparency. I love that you're able to share with me your highs and your lows. Like, you do that with so much grace. Like, Candace, things are a mess right now. But I know that God's going to get the glory in this. I know that it's not always going to look like this. So if there's something that you would leave with the listeners, what is it that you'll leave?
Yeah, fine, so I'm gonna do that. Is if you think about like a rug, right? And the rug, when you see it on the front side, it's just beautiful. It's gorgeous. That's what you're presenting out. But then when you flip it out on the back side, it's confusing. It's not as beautiful. It's not
Yeah.
elegant. It's not anything to look like. And that's just kind of how business is sometimes. My job and you as an entrepreneur is to put forth that whole thing and all the stuff behind. um, Not be afraid to go through the peaks and the valleys, that there's going to be ups and downs and valleys. Don't be
Yes.
afraid to be a student again. Like I learned to this point, I don't know much, so I'm really back down as freshman year again. I'm learning all over again, and not be afraid to lose, and don't be afraid of failure.
Mm.
And I had to learn that not everybody's going to like you. Like, they will blog about you. They will talk stuff about you. Like, you have to, it's just part of, um, it's just part of what it is.
Yeah.
Um, and like I said, take the word I can't out of your vocabulary.
Yes.
Get your mind under control.
Yes.
If you can't get that under control, it's going to be a tough ride.
It's going to be a tough ride. Mona, you are just a wealth of all the things. And I am so glad that I had you on today. Um, Celeste, just to finish up with the couple, uh, Celeste said, "This is so good. Thank you for having this conversation. I'm so glad I tuned in when I did." Um, Shanika, congratulations, Mona. Your testimony is so real. Praise God for your faith and trust in Him. Think 10 times bigger.
Yeah.
Uh, Literally 10 times bigger. And that's so good for me because I am now walking away from here thinking 10 times bigger. I'm going to think 10 times bigger than what I've been thinking because I'm not going to shortchange God on any area of my life because I do believe that I'm worth it. And I believe that I'm going to see the things that He's promised me in this lifetime. So, whoo, and cheers. Listen, and cheers. I
Yes,
love your
let me
coffee
know.
mug. So
Yes.
Mona, if you
Yes.
had a song that
Mm.
would kind of put a bow on life for you right now, what would that song be?
You know, my hype song lately has been it's old school. It's Fred Hammond, "I'm Blessed." Late in the midnight hour, God's gonna turn it around.
Absolutely. Look, let's just go
That
ahead
gets me
and
going. That's my hype song for all my haters. Just kidding. I don't have any
yeah,
haters. No,
look
that's
it.
true.
But really, like we're oh, here we are. Here we are.
I'm
Here, let's get
blessed.
it.
I'm blessed. That's
Let's
me.
put that on just so that we can get a little bit of encouragement moving
Amen.
because we are blessed.
Yes.
Um,
Fred Hammond.
look
That's
it.
my guy.
Oh, my, my speaker tries to make a, um, here we go. Because we are blessed.
Oh man, so many things. Where the crap is that? Lord.
Oh, like we are truly blessed. No matter how it's looking right now, we're
Amen.
blessed in the city. Oh, this is this is the beginning part of
Yeah.
it. Yes.
Good.
So, look, if I just move it down a little bit, he's still there. Y'all, thank you so
I can't
much
sing like you, but I'm
for
trying.
tuning. Okay. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
guys.
tuning in today, you guys.
Thank you
Thank you,
guys.
Mona, for
Anytime.
all of your words of encouragement, your testimony, your heart. Thank you for sharing it all with us. You are the bomb.com. And I can't wait until to have you on here again
I
when
would love
y'all
to.
get that third building.
Yes.
Listen, we're going to talk about it, okay? So thank you guys again for coming on. I will see you guys tomorrow. Mona, we'll see you. Bye
Bye, people. Bye. See you
bye.
later, people. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.